and affected a fake black voice, which, you know, he would have got totally bald, you know. I mean, it's a difficult one because you don't know where the tribute ends and the piss-taking starts.
I don't think that country people like this stuff very much at all at the beginning, but then you know, then what happens in country music is that, you know, basically Nashville is the conservative wing of American popular music. So now what you have in, you know, what's the great repository of AOR musicians? Nashville. There's, you know, all these people walk into the studio who plays the same kind of stuff that the Rolling Stones would have played 30 or 40 years ago and do it real well. They've listened to the Rolling Stones. They're all Rolling Stones fans. And they're all Keith Richards fans, I'm sure. Honky Tonk is a country style, that's right. But a honky tonk is also a black blues joint. Before it was a country style, it was a African American term. And so it never was fully country in terms of how it was identified, not fully.
Yet on the subsequent album, the Stones re-recorded the track in an attempt to fully integrate a country style. Without Brian Jones to introduce new instruments and sensibilities, they enlisted studio musicians to broaden their sound, and on Country Honk they enlisted fiddle player Byron Berline, who had previously worked with Gene Clark and Gram Parsons.
They put up the track, and I played a couple of passes through it. They said, "Come on in." I thought, oh, they don't like it. They're going to just can it. They're just going to say, "See ya, get lost." And Glenn Johns and whoever, I don't remember exactly who said, Mick maybe, or whoever, said, "We have an idea. We want you to go out on the sidewalk and record this outside. We have a better ambience, we think." Okay. Nothing surprised me. I knew everybody was experimenting with all kinds of different things back in those days. So we put everything out there. They put a little speaker out there so I could hear the track. Didn't have earphones. They just put a speaker and a microphone and started running it down. And they're all standing around, and cars going by. Of course, everybody was. When we walked outside, they were working on the studio, and had a big bulldozer out there pushing dirt or something. And I forget it. Mick Jagger goes out and goes, and the guy immediately just shut it off and just got off. It was like, what? You know, he just stopped it right then and just left. I guess he knew who he was. Like I think any recording artist, rather than doing their stuff, their musicians playing the same thing all the time, they welcome a new sound maybe to complement their music. I think that any artist is like that. After they record so many albums and so many songs, Gimme Christmas, I mean, you know, you get to the point where, man, it'd be nice to add a little something here. Not to get too far away from their sound, but to complement it maybe.
This introduction of a multitude of session players marked out the Stones' follow-up to Beggar's Banquet, Let It Bleed. As well as featuring Mick Taylor's first contributions to the Stones' music, it had an impressive cast of extras, including Ry Cooder, Mary Clayton, Leon Russell, Al Kooper, and performance composer Jack Nietzsche. This fuller sound was successfully integrated into the band's music by producer Jimmy Miller, and Let It Bleed was to become another classic in the Stones canon.
It would be one of the 20 albums I'd take with me to the desert island. I mean, Let It Bleed is worth it for Gimme Shelter alone, isn't it? I mean, Gimme Shelter is one of the finest things ever created on vinyl. The intro, the build of the intro, it's one of my favorite guitar solos. It's such a concise guitar solo.
There are certainly some very strong tracks on it. I mean, you know, with Gimme Shelter, the obvious example, I mean, with that sort of wraith-like flutters of harmonica, and I think it stands up well as a song. You know, the fact that it's borne out by the fact that later on somebody actually recorded an album consisting entirely of different versions of Gimme Shelter.
By any reckoning, I think Gimme Shelter has to be, you know, deemed one of the 5 greatest Stones tracks.
That transition from the 60s into the 70s was the Stones moment. Sort of the death of the dream was the Stones moment. Not We Love You, not All We Need Is Love, not all of that kind of stuff. But when everybody started to get the whiff of the fact, you know what, the revolution's never going to happen. You know, we're not going to get back to the garden. You know, it's Gimme Shelter. You know, that's what's going to happen.
The feel, the mood of the piece is so kind of eerie and sort of apocalyptic, and you really feel like, you know, the 60s are coming to their sort of bloody finale somehow in this track. And I also think it was a stroke of genius that Jimmy Miller brought in Mary Clayton to wail away, because it just takes it into a different dimension. There's a sort of desperation to this track, a real sense of foreboding and an unease, which is extraordinary. It's so haunting.
All they basically wanted was me on the record, you know. They knew what I think they kind of knew what I would bring to it. I would bring Mary Clayton to it, you know, just bring myself to it. It wasn't anything made up where you sang this part and I'll sing that part and he'll sing that. It wasn't any of that. I just brought my heart and soul to it. Half asleep, pregnant, and rollers in my hair and all. I remember 3 takes of it, of my part of it. I started to, chill, shall we? And by that time, some kind of way, it was so late, my throat cracked. It was a crack in that particular song. They said, no, don't do it again. We love the crack. We love the crack. Leave it in, leave it in. Can you do it again? I said, sure, I can do it again.
Gimme Shelter is a complete masterpiece. Because I hate 60s nostalgia, the whole notion of how horrible things were back then is sort of annoying to me. But insofar as there was a sense of a crackdown and there were bad things going on, that song captures it as well as anything I can think of.
The civil rights movement was going on, still going on. Black people were fighting for rights. Dr. King, I think Dr. King had just been assassinated. Black people as a whole at that particular time we were just distraught, you know, because our leader was dead, you know, and I took all that stuff must have been built up inside of me. So when I took on a song like that, to sing, give me shelter, please give me shelter from the racism, from the war, from all the craziness that go on the police, from everything that's going on in the world today. Can you please give us all, we really need shelter. And I was really like pleading to God, you know, please, Lord, give us shelter.
There was stuff brewing that the song wasn't about because people didn't really know it was brewing. Nixon was president by then. What was really going on in the historical, long-term historical context was that conservative ideology was reasserting itself and was going to take over